Welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday. It means it's Talk Openly night. I'm so happy to be here. My name's Jac. I'm here with my wonderful Lions Roar Dharma Center buddy, Sangha friend, Sangha assembling, Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Jack. I missed you last week.
I missed you last week too. Yeah, it's always odd to have a
I know.
Tuesday without Daniel. Yeah.
Yeah, same, same.
Yeah.
Although a Tuesday without Daniel would be really nice for me.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, wouldn't it'd be cool to kind of like have a day where you just had experience rather than any kind
Hmm.
of ego.
One
That'd be
day,
nice. That'd be nice.
that
Looking
would be so.
forward to it.
Yeah, let's aim for that.
Well, yeah, hey, we're going to be talking about a little bit about concentration tonight and how difficult it is. Shamatha meditation, which is, one of our core practices, is very difficult. And so kind of just wanted to talk about that experience and some of the strategies for working with that difficulty. So I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, well, they're scattered
Yeah, mine too.
all over the place.
Yep.
Hopefully we will be able to stay on topic and not get too distracted.
We'll have to be somewhat vigilant, make
Yes.
sure that our mindfulness is up to par.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking forward
good.
to this as well. I think it's one of the things that I think is so sort of fascinating about shamatha is that it doesn't really get like easier.
No, it doesn't.
I mean,
You're right.
there's changes, there's development, there's progress, there's all kinds of things, right? And it's not always the same, but at least in my limited experience, it's quite difficult. It remains difficult.
It remains difficult. Yeah, and I think that's definitely one of the things I want to talk about, in the second half of our show around, what makes it so difficult in particular is my expectations, where I think I should be, how I think I should be doing it, so on and so forth. So yeah, you're kind of cueing into something that I've been thinking a lot about.
Well, we'll get there. We'll
We'll
get
get
there.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, in the meantime, I'd love to hear you were gone last week. Maybe you could let us know where you've been, what you've been doing.
Yeah. I was in Washington, D.C. with my kids, which was
Yeah.
really nice. We went to take care of some business at the Icelandic embassy there, and we decided to make a trip out of the entire thing. Um, and I gotta say this, DC is not what I imagined it to be.
Hmm.
It's pretty chill, pretty nice, pleasant place. The weather was oppressive. It was hot and humid,
Oof.
But
Yeah.
generally speaking, kind of a pretty nice, kind of seemed like a clean city and nice people and stuff. So like I liked it, but I don't really want to go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it was fine enough, and I can totally see like if you're into like political history or you really like the sort of the museum thing, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
cool, very cool. But
Smithsonian's,
it
yeah.
sort of like mainly because I was there with my teenage kids, they were like where's the fun stuff? Where's the interesting stuff? Where's the like the party? Where's the excitement? Like not here, not
I
here.
hear you.
You like great place to go on a field trip, but I totally enjoyed I mean some of the things I loved about it was all the museums I mean there's so many. You could spend days inside just any
Oh,
one of
yeah.
them,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Any
for
one of them.
sure.
You could just like lose yourself in it. And they're free for the most
Yeah.
part. Every one of them is free.
Yeah. It's
It's
awesome.
super cool. But then what my kids realized is that they don't really like museums.
They don't like museums.
So like on the like towards the end of the like on the towards the end of the trip, my youngest was like, please, like not another museum. Can we not do another museum? So
Uh-huh.
we did the zoo instead, and that was fine.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was good. It was interesting. One of the things that I it was I was not at all able to practice meditation the entire time, the whole
Yeah.
time. And like, maybe a little bit of mindfulness and some mantras and things like that. But actual like a seated practice, impossible. Couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think was yeah, blocking or just in the
Oh,
way?
it's just go, 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 and we're all in this like little hotel room together and stuff, like there was no space, there was no time, there was no nothing. It was
Yeah.
like constantly on from wake up till, bedtime. And I was like, all right, I'll just roll with it. It's fine.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I'm not really like, I don't feel like I'm suffering the consequences. Normally, if I were to let my meditation lapse sort of in ordinary life, I think I would begin to feel some of a shift, right? But in
Yeah.
this case, it was really just like, no, I recognize what's happening, I get it, and it's fine, no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was able to I there's this YouTuber that I love. Her name is Samanari Jayasara, uh, Australian nun who reads all this non-dual literature from a
Ah,
variety of traditions. Um, and she has a Vajrasattva series, a two-part series on it's a Vajrasattva what you would call it. Anyway, teaching, if you will,
yeah.
and it's long and beautiful, and I was able to I just enjoyed the on the flight over there, I listened to one
Mm.
of them, and on the flight back, I listened to the other one. I was just like, so good.
Nice, nice. I love that. Yeah, hey, that's I feel like that does take some discipline to choose on a flight to listen to a Dharma talk rather than just kind of like veg out and watch a crappy movie.
I did that too.
You did that too? Okay, good.
I totally did that too. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. What'd you watch?
Okay, now you're testing me.
All right, yeah.
What did I watch? Oh, RoboCop, the new one.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
That was, or not new one. Well, I don't know. It's old now, but not the original.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was all right. It was okay. And what was the other one? I can't even remember what the other one was.
Yeah,
See, I was
yeah,
distracted while I was watching it, whatever it was.
totally.
It'll come to me, and then all of a sudden I'll blurt it out.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah.
I probably fell asleep halfway through. I talk about attention and concentrating. It's like, I'm pretty sure that like ADHD stuff runs in my family and I've got
Yeah,
a decent touch of it. So much so that like movies are very, very, very difficult for me.
me
Like
too.
I have a
Yeah,
heck of a time watching movies, you know?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so that's why it was kind of nice on the airplane because I'm like, whatever, I'll fall asleep, wake
for
up, I
sure.
don't care.
Yeah, if I'm not like fully absorbed into a movie, if it hasn't like captured me, then I'm like, oh God, I want out of here.
Yep, yep, exactly, exactly. So anyway, all good. I was
Yeah.
glad that we took the trip, glad that we're back. Sort of a big event. It was interesting. My meditation and training this morning was interrupted as well,
Uh-huh.
because I woke up to the news that my father had had a stroke this morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
that was it was kind of interesting to watch all of that. So he's actually fine.
Okay.
I talked, like his voice is fine. He doesn't appear to have any kind of neurological or other issues related to the stroke. He was very
Mhm.
fortunate that his wife um got him like right quick into an ambulance and got him into
Good.
care, and the hospital's right nearby, and so everything's okay. But it caused a bit of a fluster of activity, everybody talking to
Yeah.
let everybody know. And yeah, so that was that was definitely disappointing for him.
Yeah.
Not something that you ever expect to wake up to, but it's kind of interesting that that's how impermanence works, right? Like
Yeah.
that things are constantly changing, we don't really recognize, and then all of a sudden, boom, right?
Yeah. You
Out of the
recognize.
blue, car
Yeah.
crash, stroke, heart attack, whatever.
Yeah.
Something,
Yeah,
some big life-changing event happens.
for sure. Yeah, I was listening to Thupten Chodron's meditation, like the 9 point death meditation this
Mhm.
morning.
Oh,
And that was
wonderful.
something that stuck out to me was, she was saying how, you know, whenever you die, you're going to be in the middle of doing something, you know? And it could be that kind of like very obvious, like, oh, you're driving to work and then you get hit by a car. That's like at the middle of doing something. But also like, laying in bed on like your deathbed and you know it's coming, like uh you're in the middle of doing something. You're thinking, or you're, trying to pay attention to family, loved ones, or you're in a coma or whatever it is. You're in the
Yeah.
middle of something.
Yeah.
And then you die.
I
Yeah.
sort of, I sort of, I oftentimes when I'm meditating, I'll think like, okay, this is your final breath. This is it
Yeah.
right here. What's this like? And even then, even if I could be present enough for my very last out breath, I'd still be in the middle of doing something.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, yeah, it's such a trip. I'm really glad to hear that he's doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that you were also able to kind of reflect.
Yeah.
See that
Yeah,
that.
it's fascinating to me. He and I, we're not close,
Mhm.
and not physically or emotionally or any other way, but still having your family, having your parents, have serious sort of like old aging sort of old age sort of stuff going on, right?
Yeah,
And it's inevitable that the same kind of stuff will likely happen to me if I survive long enough, right?
right. Yeah,
So yeah, it does. It definitely is an opportunity for reflection.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I think of my parents, they're in their late 60s, which is still like relatively young for a lot of people. But, um, I think about the last like 15 years and how quickly they've gone by.
Right.
And then I imagine in 15 years, they're going to be like in their mid 80s, like
Yep. Yep.
that, they might be dead in 15 years, right?
Yep.
And it's like, wow, where does the time go? And also like, do I actually really recognize that it's imminent, right? It's like it will happen, and not in like a doomy way, but just like I want to recognize it so I'm not completely blown away and I can
Right.
be there, and
Right.
um yeah, so yeah,
Yeah,
wild.
exactly that. And that kind of reflection, even if we're not thinking about like, oh, I might die, tonight, even if we're just thinking of like natural aging and death is still quick, right? 80 years on this planet or 90 years on this planet is nothing. It's a blip. That was one thing that I thought was really interesting as part of the museum stuff, at like
Hmm.
the Natural History Museum. There was like looking at the evolution of humans, right? And the amount of the span of time, these sort of long periods of time where humans and their predecessors were going through all of these changes, right? And in each one of those 100,000 year blocks, which were just little parts of it, that's 100,000 years, right? That's a lot of coming and going.
Yeah, it is.
And
Yeah.
then you look at it and you're like, okay, and that entire span of all of humans and humankind kind of creatures coming and going, evolving and doing all these things, that's just a little blip on the sort of geologic time scale.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So like it really like I'm not joking, like that kind of threw me like it put me into this space where I was like, holy shit, this is good.
Yeah.
This is just like a boom. We're in and
Yeah.
out, right?
Immediate.
Like
Yeah.
a little bubble, right? It was just like put come and then pop, right?
Yeah.
And it really does. I know this is like a Buddhist talk show, so probably I ought to say this, but it made me really feel like, am I using this time wisely, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it,
It's so
am I
important.
actually, and is whatever I'm doing, both my training, my spiritual practices, and the rest of my life, is that what I want to be doing, given what I know about this, the nature of human life, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, the cool part about that is that type of reflection definitely made me feel very committed to my practice, right?
Mm,
And to this path, because I was like, oh yeah, I I want to do this now.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's really inspiring. Yeah. Yeah, and like that kind of like rapid impermanence where like you see it, it's kind of like, the God realm where they're going, going, going,
Yep.
everything's chill. And then like within just such a blip of time for them, it's like the opposite. They're descending and it's terrible. And hopefully we don't have that kind of a descent, right? But that it's like, oh yeah, this shit happens really fast.
Oh
And
yeah.
so like, like I want to pay attention. And yeah, yeah, no, sometimes I'm not sure if I'm totally using my life in the way that I'd like to. And
Yeah.
it's really important to kind of continually reflect. That's why the four thoughts that turn the mind, are so essential. Because
Absolutely.
otherwise it's so easy just to kind of like, lollygag, like
Oh
it's
yeah.
chill.
Yep.
But I really recognize like even, I've had like a week where I've been doing a lot of there's been so much activity and I've still done my meditation. There was one day that I didn't. And I really noticed the effects of like my mind not being centered on the
Mm.
Dharma. I really noticed like
Oh.
I feel exhausted, I feel run down, I feel kind of like a little I don't know, uninspired.
Yeah. Yep.
And and so it's because I really like I've been, engaged in pretty, I don't know, like entertainment stuff, which is it's whatever,
Yep.
but I'm just seeing that it's like it's not fulfilling, right? It's just um so and it was kind of like, like all of this was scheduled into like one week. And so maybe if it was spread out more, it's like more reasonable. But
Yeah, but
um
having it concentrated does sort of give you that perspective where you get
yeah,
a
sure.
good dose of it and you're like, wow, I had a whole bunch of it and it's still, like it's all right. It was fine.
Yeah. That reminds me of I can't remember who this teacher was, but I heard a story of a teacher who really took like the tantric approach with one of his like kind of attachments. And it was attachment to sugar. And he really loved, treats and whatnot. And so what he did is he ordered like just a huge serving of what's called gulab jamun. They're these like Indian donuts that are soaked in syrup, and
Oh,
they are delicious. But if you have one, right? It's like
yeah.
you really can't have more than one. And but he ate like, something crazy like 20 or so of these like gulab jamuns and then was like, yeah, I don't need
Yep,
sugar.
yep. That didn't do it.
It didn't do it. In fact, it was pretty disgusting.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember it's funny these different approaches they are experimenting, right?
Yeah.
Experimenting with our habit patterns and our mental energies, all of this stuff, right? I remember one time Lama was talking about he said he really likes like almond croissants, right?
Mm,
I think and I love those things. Um and he said that he was practicing with like just like having a like a small piece of an entire croissant and
hmm
then just imagining the rest of it, right?
Huh.
Like not actually having to partake, but just sort of like continue to be sated with just the sort of the imaginary aspect of it. I don't know how
Yeah.
that went for him, but it sort of strikes me every now and then I'll practice and play around with that sort of method as well.
I like that. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Hmm.
Visualization is powerful, huh?
It is. I was going to ask you, even though it was only one day that you didn't meditate, but do you ever notice when when you sort of get out of the center of the labyrinth and you kind of veer, into mundane reality, that the sort of the dharmic world or whatever you want to call that, it begins to seem sort of ethereal, right? Kind of just sort of like
Mm.
like you're like, whoa, is that real? Because like sometimes I feel like that where I'm like I'm really into it, And I'm like everything, my waking, breathing, sleeping, everything is just nothing but this, right? It's all
Yeah.
mind training and practice. And I'm like just soaked in it, just steeped
Yeah.
in it. And it feels so real and it feels so, so good. And then I'll kind of veer away from it, right? And then I'm like, wait, is that is that just like a dream? Is that a dream world, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of cool because when we begin to see all phenomena as dreams, right? Then you can kind of see how there's this interplay of Nirvana and samsara. They're not actually different things, right?
Mm,
And that there's something that we can do to sort of enter and exit those states.
totally. Yeah. It's up to us. Yeah. For
Yeah,
sure.
like we're creating this reality.
We're
What kind
creating
do
it.
we
Yeah.
want? Do we like the really, the craving, grasping, anger, hatred? Is that what we're into? Or,
Yeah.
is the other way a little bit nicer, sweeter?
Yeah. It is.
It is.
It
It
really
is.
is.
It is. Let's make nice dreams, Jack.
Yeah, for
Nice
sure.
dreams.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Yeah, happiness is good.
Amen.
Relative and ultimate. Yeah. Yeah.
You got anything else for us?
Not really, no. I'm just kind of I'm gonna, keep going.
All right.
Keep going.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I did do something this weekend that was more like based in altruism and t taking my time in that way is that I volunteered for this event with one of the local tribes where every year they have all the tribes in the area will send out a canoe with like one of the families and meet at one location. And it's really cool. It's this amazing event. And so I helped out with like kitchen prep and stuff. Um, and that was really nice. It just felt kind of like when I was trying to kind of like, um, bring Dharma to mind throughout the day. And it was good for me to be like very humble about like, these are kind of, they're not flashy, like, hey, I'm up there helping people present or whatever it is. It's like
Yeah.
behind the scenes, like unwrapping bags of, bananas and just kind of
Yeah.
like going through the grind of like a, kitchen prep and whatnot. And so that was nice. It's kind of it's nice to like do that kind of volunteering where it's like you're really behind the scenes and you're really just there to completely help. It's not at all about you. And so that was really nice. I
Yeah,
enjoyed,
that feels so good. That feels
yeah,
so good. That like sort of grunt level, you're just lending nothing more than your energy, your time, your body, and it's not anything about your attitude or belief. I mean, of course, it's all this stuff, but like it's not about you.
yeah,
And
right.
that's just so nice.
Yeah. I'd
Mm.
love to do more of that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of the work that I do that is like with people, there there can be an element of like, saviorism, right? Because like I do, like therapy. And so when I volunteer, some of that is like offering kind of pro bono counseling. And if you're not careful, like people do see therapists in a certain way. There's like authority, there's kind of like admiration, right? And so that can be like, that can feel pretty good, you know? And so I have to be very cautious about that because I am somewhat subject to flattery. And so, being mindful of like, just always like, this isn't about me. Like I'm just here to help.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Nice. Did you make it into the prison?
So when I went a couple weeks ago, they turned us away. I don't know
Right.
if I told you that.
You
Yeah, they
did.
turned, yeah. And this last time I went to the men's prison just for like what they call their on-site training. It's the same training as the other one, but they just make you do it again at each
Yeah.
prison that you go into.
Okay.
Um, so I will be actually going into a prison on the 17th. So
Okay.
that'll be good. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
looking forward to it. Yeah, nice. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I can't wait until you report back on how that went.
I think it's gonna be cool.
Another opportunity, as you described it, to simply be,
Yeah,
to lend support through nothing more than your existence and your time and your willingness to be supportive.
yep, for
Yeah,
sure.
so
Yeah,
cool.
so cool.
I want
You
more
know,
of, I want more of that for you.
thanks. Yeah, I'd like that too. This is kind of reminding me, and I know we want to jump into Lojong in our discussion, but Charla and folks gave kind of like a collaborative talk a couple weeks ago, and something that Charla was saying really, really like hit home for me about, her well, and maybe I shouldn't share because I know that this was kind of like it was a little bit, they didn't record it, right? Because
Yeah, because yeah, right.
yeah, but a little, maybe I'll just kind of broadly like, in terms of social justice and like politics, like how much do we engage? How like
Hmm.
what is the level of engagement that, like I should really be going for, and like and so reminding myself when I kind of enter these volunteer spaces is like I can really just be here. Like I don't have to be striving and trying to change the world. Like I can just be a human with other humans. And maybe that is bodhisattva work,
And maybe that is the change that actually the world needs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, to kind of like
Yeah.
turn down the saviorism,
You
right? Like,
never you never know when that little ripple of yours might end up, having some major effects.
right.
We don't know. There's all kinds of, intended and unintended consequences to our actions, right? Like
Yeah,
everything that we do, everything we think, everything we say, our body, speech, and mind is influencing reality, our own reality as well as, everyone else's. And there isn't, I think that's one of the wonderful things about karma is, right? Like when you are engaged in good activity, virtuous behavior. And there's no doubt that that type of, just being supportive is virtuous behavior. Only good things can come from it.
yeah, yeah,
You can't
yeah,
have bad fruit from a good seed. And so
right.
I think that that's I don't know, it's just like it's important to keep in mind because even though we're not all necessarily social justice powerhouses, if we live in accordance with that, right, and we're willing to do things like lend our support, lend our voice, lend our time, to benefit other beings, then in fact it does bear fruit,
It
right?
does.
It
Yeah,
does.
it
It
does.
will. It cannot not do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of that phrase, like being content just to create the causes, right?
That's right.
We don't have to see the result in this lifetime, but
Don't, that's
creating the
attachment.
causes.
Wanting the attachment, I mean, wanting the results, that's attachment, right?
Mhm.
But doing the deed, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, for
What
sure.
is it? How does a society grow strong when people plant trees in the sh in whose shade they'll never sit, something like that?
Oh, I like
I
that.
forget how it
Wow.
goes, but it's something like that, right?
That's
Plant
really
the trees. Don't
beautiful.
worry about whether or not you're going to get to enjoy the shade.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Hmm.
me too. Let's
Hmm.
do it, Jack.
Let's do it. Let's do some mind training.
All right, let's do
Get
it.
my monkey mind a little bit under control. I really
Okay.
want to get that tanka of the like the shamatha,
Yeah.
kind of the monkey and the elephant. Yep,
Ah, I
minding.
love that one. You know what I think about? I actually I was thinking about that one earlier today, and I reference it quite a lot, sort of just mentally.
Yeah.
Um, and there's times where I'm like, I ask like, where are you on that path, Daniel? Right? This shamatha, how much progress have you made? And inevitably, I'm still sort of chasing after the monkey. Hmm.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Yeah. The monkey's still like, I got you.
There's progress, but it's not hanging out in the tree. It's still sometimes flinging shit.
Totally. Yeah. Getting to know the elephant maybe a little bit,
Yeah.
but
Right.
yeah, they're still a little scary. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is one is important. Yes. Number 10, begin the sequence of exchange with yourself. Um, so let's see. In the way of the Bodhisattva, Shantideva, he says, those desiring speedily to be a refuge for themselves and others should make the interchange of I and other and thus embrace a sacred mystery.
Yep.
Great.
Tonglen.
Tonglen, that's right. So having beginning the sequence of Tonglen first with ourselves. Does that ever, what's that like for you? Do you
Yeah.
always start with yourself?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. I am pretty good at following instructions. And our friend Marie gave me the Tonglen instructions a while ago. And I always start with myself. I remember, I think I've shared this before, but it was kind of funny. I remember one time I was doing Tonglen with her and and I said, this whole starting with myself thing, like it's all right, but I don't really need it.
Mm.
I don't really need, I'm okay. I don't feel like I need it. I should just jump in. And she was like, that's a sure sign that you need it.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
also, why would you ever exclude yourself from any of this goodness, right?
Yeah.
There's actually like a quote hanging on the fridge here in the house. It says something. It's attributed to the Buddha. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's like, you know, in all the universe, there is like no one deserves all this goodness and all this compassion and kindness as much as yourself, right? Like, yes, it's for everyone, but
Mm.
also you.
Yeah.
Right? You're not excluded, and I think one of the things I remember early, the first time I ever heard of Tonglen, I was at a beginner's meditation group, the one that you and I were at. You know,
Yeah.
we met first, and I remember one of the other Sangha members saying, "Yeah, I've been doing a lot of Tonglen, and it kind of like I feel like it's kind of making me sick, like it's too much, and it was this thing where it was off. It turned out that it was like off balance. There wasn't actually this. It was all directed outward towards other people, and that person was basically excluding themselves from all of this loving kindness, compassion training."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we do deserve it and we need it, right? Put the mask on yourself before you put it on somebody else, sort of thing.
For sure.
So, yeah, no, I think this is vital. Not all it's interesting to note that not all Tonglen practices start with yourself. So
So,
I've
yeah.
heard teaching, I've heard it taught in different ways, including starting with somebody else, but nah, not me, man. I do it this way.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think at least from what I've seen, the ones that don't start with the self are kind of more like Western
Hmm.
influenced practices of Tonglen, where it's like, well, we all hate ourselves in the West is kind of like the idea. And so,
Yeah.
let's wait until maybe the end or whatever. But yeah, I think we can break through that by starting with ourselves. Um, and yeah, it doesn't need to come after we've gone through the process of, loved one and
Well,
whatnot. So
and I think that what's one of the things that's kind of interesting about starting with yourself, or at the very least including yourself in the practice, is that you get to sort of you get to experience both sides of the sending and the receiving because you are imagining yourself receiving, right? And you're experiencing sending. But if you're the one who's receiving, it means, you're seeing both sides of the coin, right? And
yeah,
I think that that's really helpful. That's another component of it that I find really kind of neat is to sort of like as I'm sending, I'm also receiving at the exact same
for
time.
sure. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think something that's really helped me is that you kind of imagine that that person receives everything they need, whether like, kind of material, spiritual, and you actually see how they would appear
Right,
differently, right?
right.
And so to see that, oh, like I can transform, yeah, kind of like breaks a little bit of that
It
feeling,
also
oh, I don't need
illuminates
it.
it also illuminates a little bit of that, what is it that I need?
Totally.
Right? Because you're receiving, right? So, what is it, right? I think that the sense that I get is like I have that when I receive some kind of support, like a Jac-like support of a person who's there helping and being of benefit without making it about them.
That, yeah, that's a good that's a good ask.
We could all be so fortunate.
I don't know if it'd be me. Well, maybe,
It's
maybe
okay. It's like
sometimes.
a Jac-like presence.
A Jac-like presence. Hey, who are these cool folks?
Vajradhara, Tmya, and Mahasiddha's Virupa and Kana.
Cool. Wow. Wow.
Oh,
I would love to see these up close with a little more.
yeah, and in their original form.
Yeah, amazing.
I have no idea. So Vajradhara, yes. I have no idea. Nair, is this is I can't tell. I can't tell. I don't know. Sometimes the names are interchangeable, but
Hmm.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, I don't either.
Huh. One day I'll be a Mahasiddha. One day.
Yeah, one day you will.
Yeah, I'm looking
It's
forward.
gonna happen.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Nice.
Smoke will come out of my fingertips.
Haha. Oh, those little tricks would be fun.
Yeah, yeah, neat. But I won't be attached to them.
Okay, good. That's
Yeah.
important. Well, Daniel, I wanted to talk about concentration tonight, why concentration is so difficult. Just because it's kind of like the perennial challenge for me is shamatha. Shamatha is hard. And I imagine there's a lot of our, audience friends who feel the same way. And so I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about, well, the fact that it is difficult. And so if you're having challenges, like that's good. Like it's okay.
If you're not having challenges and you don't think that concentration is hard, either you're not paying attention at all and you're not meditating at all, or you are already a Mahasiddha. Otherwise,
Right.
you're probably going to agree that concentrating is really, really, really hard.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so yeah, there's a number of reasons why, and one is that I think like my mind or our minds are just kind of like naturally distractible. Like we're wired to be kind of scanning our environment for threats and things that are
Yeah.
interesting, right? And so it's like there's constant kind of stimulus coming through our senses and thoughts that are surfacing because of that stimulus and thoughts about all kind of random things. And so it's natural
It
to have.
is completely natural. In fact, there's a term that's thrown around in like neuroscience called there's a this idea of the default mode network. Have you ever heard of this?
I have heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like
Can you
the
tell us?
sort of
Yeah.
the sort of the patterns, the way that our brains are structured, we have these neural pathways that are sort of reinforced, and there's a basically a network of patterns, the default mode, that when we're not really engaged, when we're not really focused, that default mode is on. And
Mm,
that default mode is totally wandering, distracted, self-referential, ruminating for everybody. That's how it is. And what's really fascinating is that in many cases, people have identified them that essentially the ego with the sense of self is that default mode network, right?
uh-huh.
And so for example, when people talk about the like psychedelic therapies, one of the reasons why they say that psychedelics are helpful is because they suspend the default mode network.
Yeah.
And that's where you get discussions of things like ego death or ego suspension or whatever, is
Right.
because that those normal neural pathways release and you're no longer, it's not behaving the same way anymore. It's not the default mode. And so the fact that that language, the default mode, right? That's for human beings. That's all of us. It's the
Right.
default for all of us.
Yeah. To be distracted and
Correct.
constantly kind of thinking and
Ruminating,
planning
thinking
and
about ourselves, worrying about the past and the future, and that's
yeah.
normal. That's all
Yeah,
of us.
for
That's
sure.
normal for an untrained mind, to be
Right,
specific.
right. Right. That we have the karma to have this kind of biology as part, part of our karma, right? And so that sometimes is helpful for me when I'm meditating. It's like a little bit destigmatizing where I'm like, okay, it makes sense that I'm distracted, right? Because that's just how the mind works. It's not like it's me as an individual, right? Because that it's so easy to go into self-flagellation with any kind of Dharma practice, right? If we're not careful, because it's like, oh, I'm not doing it right. And
Right,
I'm
which is just more of the bullshit that you
it's just more of the bullshit. Yeah. So I have to be really careful to like be like, no, you're just like everybody else, dude. You're just like everybody else. You're distracted, right? That's the human mind. So it's that can be helpful for me to remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that aspect, you're right. In the beginning, I think that's actually one of the reasons why in the beginning shamatha practice is so difficult is because almost like right away, we begin to see the restless mind, and we weren't really aware of it necessarily.
Right.
We saw its effects, right? We heard the monkey screaming and the poop being flung and all of that stuff, right? And so we saw the effects and we're like, something needs to happen. And somebody suggests meditating, and then we go and we meditate, and then we actually see the monkey, you
Right.
know? And
Right.
that's I think really, really scary. I remember early on that the feeling like where I literally sat on the cushion and bounced off of and was just like, nope, nope, nope,
Oh,
nope, nope, not gonna do this. And I think there's two reasons for that. One of them is having had a little bit of experience of seeing this restless, crazy monkey mind, and not really wanting to go there. But the other one is that, you and I have talked about this a lot, where my approach to mind training initially was kind of mean, and it
mm,
had these expectations that were unreasonable and not helpful.
for sure.
And there was this sort of like trying to beat my mind into submission, and it does not like that. Don't beat monkeys. Don't do it.
No, they
It's
get
bad
mad.
news, man. They get real mad, and
Yeah.
they will not be easily trained if you beat them.
For sure. Yeah, no, monkeys are strong. They're surprisingly strong. So, yeah, and that's the thing too, what you said about expectations, I think is so important. What I brought up earlier is, I also came to meditation thinking that it was going to fix me, fix whatever was going on, improve me, make me, like a more successful, likable, all the things person, right? And so, like that is not the point. And so when I'm kind of like thinking of it that way, then concentration just doesn't like it, I don't get there, right? And I'm not even aware of it sometimes. So checking in with my motivation every time is really important. Um, but I think that kind of like initial expectation that it was going to like make me a superhuman or whatever is like it was a problem for concentration. And also too, like the expectation that meditation will make me calm, right? That it's like that's what it's for.
Right, it's called calm abiding. Come on.
Right, right. And so when like that doesn't happen every time, it's kind of frustrating. Or like when in the middle of a meditation, like I haven't gotten to a place where I think that's where I'm supposed to be, then my concentration like it gets worse, because I'm thinking that I should be somewhere else when really I just, got to be paying attention with what's going on. So yeah, expectations are like a big impediment, I think, to shamatha for sure.
I couldn't agree more because, when you have the expectation, you're also met constantly measuring your current experience against that expectation, right? So rather than being still with whatever is there present, you're actually engaged in this sort of comparing and contrasting activity, right? You're comparing whatever it is that you're having an experience of with what you think it ought to be. And that's precisely like not what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Oh, comparison kills, right?
Right. Well, and it's
Yeah.
like this flip flop, like so that's the thing, right? Is like we're so identified with the fast movement of the mind, right?
Yeah.
What was the cogito ergo sum? I think, therefore I am,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And this identification with the thinking. Thinking is very fast.
Yeah.
People love it because it's like all things are possible, right? And
Right.
like whether it's positive or negative, the realm of the mental realm of speed and thought and planning and all of these things makes us feel like we're in control. And there's, I don't know, there's all kinds of sort of juicy stuff in that world that we're so identified with, but it's pulling us away from what's actually right in front of us.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we really believe our thoughts. Um,
Yeah, damn it.
yeah. Well, and that's something that can, be so interesting when I'm not thinking that I should be doing something differently in shamatha, but just really kind of following the instructions of, focusing on the object, noticing when I'm off the object and coming back, is that there becomes such a disidentification with the thought, right? Because it's just like, okay, that's happening, right? It's not a big deal. Just come back to the breath.
Right.
And so, yeah, being able to like develop that concentration of, yeah, it's a thought, breath, right? Come
Yeah,
back.
right.
It helps kind of, yeah, just like turn the dial down on the like importance of like, no, this is life, I think, therefore I am. This is me, my
Yeah.
identity, and what I need to do. And yeah, yeah. But it,
I think that that part, the way that we became conditioned to believe that that is us, right? Is really fascinating. But you can see because the natural tendency of the mind is to do this fast-paced stuff, right? Bounce around like a little monkey. It's I think it's interesting that like so there was this I don't know, you probably heard about it, but there was like this Harvard study where they came to the conclusion that human beings during their waking hours are not present and are distracted 47% of their time. So for nearly half of the time that you're awake, you're not here. You're not present for what's right here in front of you. You're distracted, right? That's
yeah,
the majority of us, and that's normal, right? So
yeah.
we talked about everybody kind of that's the human condition. But their conclusion, this is a quote from this Harvard study, and this of course echoes, Buddhist philosophy for many, many years. A human mind is a wandering mind, and a wandering mind is an unhappy mind.
Mm,
And what's really interesting, you notice this, right? Like there's this, especially nowadays, the speed of information and digital distractions and all of this, right? It's taking advantage of, right? Intentionally taking advantage of this characteristic, this trait of
yeah,
our minds to be distracted, and it's amplifying it. And yet, that very wandering characteristic of the mind is the thing that is making us unhappy. And we're
yeah,
so identified with this unhappy, wandering mind that anything that's sort of like contrary to that, some peace, some calm, some slowness, right?
yeah,
It
yeah.
feels like it's like killing it, like it feels like threatening to us, right?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big obstacle of mine as well, is that like I feel like I should be doing something,
Ah,
right? That it's like I should be productive, or like I should be thinking about my problems, and like working through my problems. And it's like just sit here, and pay attention. That's it. And so it's really hard for me to do that, because it's like I am so kind of trained in the cognitive world, and have grown up with the Western mindset, but then also
right.
like my profession is very much that, and so
Exactly.
it's
And think about
hard.
what you were saying earlier. And I bet that throughout your childhood, probably people were like, Jack, you're so smart, right? Oh, right? And nowadays, oh, Jack, you saved my life. You helped me so much.
Oh God.
Oh, right. And there's this identification with this knowingness. This is this intelligence, whatever you want to call it,
Right,
right?
right,
This
right.
mind stuff. So much like identity wrapped up in it. It's
For
so hard to
sure.
like go and be like, oh, no, that's not me.
Yeah,
That's
that's not where it's at.
not where
Yeah, no. It can be a helpful tool when it's, used
if you know how to use it, it's
and
a
you know how
helpful
to use
tool.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what you
But
reminded me of though? Remember,
huh,
I think this is in our last show, but there was a teacher who said, and I don't think I'll ever forget this, but it was, don't just do something, sit there.
there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that.
it's interesting. Uh in like emergency response training, like I've taken some, CPR, like Red Cross trainings. And one of the suggestions is like, don't just jump in, like our kind of, initial response is like, oh, I gotta go help. But sometimes it's like it's actually really important. We need to assess the scene, like,
That's the
hey, would
situation.
I be getting more hurt? Or like, would they be getting more hurt if I jumped in? Or is there like, I don't know, glass or a gun or whatever it is that you need to assess? And like, you don't have to jump in and change everything. And so I love that with shamatha is like, just sit back and watch, like observe, like, and just, you don't have to be doing something all the
Oh my
time.
gosh. You just reminded me of something that Lama said during the
Hmm.
meditation training on Sunday. Um, he was saying he it was like it turned out to be like a little mantra for me that I meditated on quite a lot, which was and he was talking about meditation, but it totally applies to what you just said, which is he said it the situation requires our attention, but not our control. It does not require control,
Hmm.
it requires attention.
Hmm.
Right. And I
Hmm.
think that that's one of the things that I find so fascinating about mind training and being
Yeah.
mindfulness practice is that it doesn't, so oftentimes people are like, oh, Buddhist meditation, it's all passive and you basically aren't doing anything. No, you can't help but the doingness happens. The
Yeah.
doingness will happen. Like there, you cannot not do things, right? But it's a question of whether you're doing things intelligently, skillfully, right? And actually getting the results that that you intend, or whether you're just flailing about, like you just said, right? Like if someone's drowning, or appears to be drowning, I mean, it feels like compelling to just jump in and try to rescue them. But in so many situations, that's going to not help them and is going to hurt you,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So
Yeah.
stop for a minute, think about it, assess the situation, and then act. Absolutely.
Yeah. Say the phrase again that Lama.
He said it requires your attention, not your control.
Attention, not your control. Yeah, yeah, that is definitely such an important reminder for developing shamatha is like, because I can get really tight, right? When I'm like bearing down on concentration, where I'm like, I just gotta focus, right? Like just bring your attention there. And so then I can get like really tight and tense. Where instead it's like, attention rather than control. It's like I'm just, returning, I'm returning, I'm not forcing.
It's very
It does take
gentle.
discipline, but it's
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's very, very gentle and soft, but it's just repetition. It's just
Yeah.
keep doing. That's why actually, they talk about, turning the obstacle into the path, right? So when we have super distracted meditations, those are a gift.
Yeah, they are.
That's a ton of opportunities to practice, practice, practice. So every time you get distracted, thank God you got distracted. That's wonderful because
That's
now
another rep, right? Of the
another
exercise.
rep, man. Like this is good. This is what you came here to do. Don't
Yeah.
like in the beginning, remember how mad you'd get? You'd be like, "Oh, I was so distracted." And no, that's great, man. Like you got some fodder, you got something to work with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah. And you came, you arrived, right? That's
Right.
that's half the
Yeah.
work.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Awesome.
one thing I was during the like the sort of note taking or whatever before the show, one of the things that came I came across was the Dalai Lama's emphasis on ethics as the foundation for concentration, right? And I was like, what?
That's
Where's he
cool.
going with this, right? And basically, the idea is that, what is scattering our mind is this all this like anger and craving and these habituated pattern, the habit energies, right? That they're agitating our mind and it's causing us to kind of spin and to move really quickly between different ideas and stuff, right? And to ruminate and to fixate and that kind of thing, right? And and this is certainly true for me, like craving, for example, will agitate the hell out of my mind, right?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so if I was craving some weed or some alcohol or whatever, or some kind of like pleasure or whatever, that's gonna like capture me and pull me and make me super distracted. But if I'm maintaining my vows, right, then I have a lot less to worry about. I'm
Mm,
not hurting
mhm.
other people. I'm not being a nuisance to others. I don't have these same cravings, right? And so it just calms everything down, right?
It really
If you're not
does.
sitting here
Yeah.
worried because you lied to somebody about some business deal, you didn't hurt somebody, you didn't, what do you, commit adultery, and now you've got some angry spouse after you. If you did, if all of you, if you were living ethically, then so much of the monkey mind that's worried about self-preservation would have a lot less to worry about,
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, ethical guidelines and restraints. It's like the mind has somewhere to go that's like a lot safer and relaxed. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I can totally see how like when I was still um yeah, still kind of engaging in some of those like more aggressively unethical behaviors. That was what occupied my mind a
Yeah.
lot was like worry about like, oh, did I hurt someone? Or like, oh, that was embarrassing, like why did
Right.
I do that? That kind of thing. And it's like it's so much self-centeredness and just like ick. Um,
Right.
and so yeah, like starting to be a more ethical behaving person is like really relieving. It's relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Surprise, surprise. I never would have, linked those two together, without somebody pointing it out to me, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's not a moral thing, right? It's not because God said that you shouldn't be doing these things. It's none of that stuff. It's literally just like it's gonna make your life better. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and you'll have more success in the things that you're trying to do, like
Yep.
concentration.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, thank you. This has been really cool. I feel like I'm reflecting a lot on this, and I'm gonna do some shamatha
Same.
after this and yeah, just try and be chill, right? Hey,
Yeah,
come
yeah,
on up,
yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly. And love your distractions. Use like they're
Yeah.
great tools, like do another rep, like you said.
Do
That's
another rep. Yeah. Patience. Patience is key, I think.
oh,
Yeah.
we definitely need that.
Well, it's been lovely. I know do we have a special guest next week?
We do, Kim Scott.
Yeah, Kim, she's gonna be talking about Dharma and art, right?
Yeah, yep, exactly. We're going to learn a little bit more about her, where she's coming from, what she's up to, and while there may not be necessarily like a central focus to the discussion, sort of thematically, it's like how art saves lives, right?
Cool. Awesome. I'm so
That'll be fun. Me
excited.
too. Me too. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Jack. I love seeing you again.
Thanks,
And happy to be
Daniel.
here with you.
I
I
love seeing you
appreciate you.
too. Take care, everybody. See you
Bye-bye,
next week.
everybody.